I've been speaking to a lot of clients, especially the clients who thought that they could never invest in Dubai real estate because the prices had gone so high. Due to some of the current situations, some of the prices have dropped in terms of the secondary market. However, while everyone is looking at distressed deals, leverage deals, blah, 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 a lot of the investors, be it new, be it old, have taken their eye off the ball, which is still off plan. Usually tools that were accessible to experienced investors, wealthy investors, investors with a banking background, investors with obviously a private equity background or a VC background. However, the layman or the new investors, people who want to start, no matter how small the investment is, don't really have the access to certain types of tools that are in the market. I'm going to make this simple for those type of investors, right? Now, first, while you're having conversations with some of the experienced realtors and some of the experienced consultants in the market, you will see that they use certain terms. You have PSF, which is price per square feet. You have leverage. And today we're going to talk about leverage as an investor in real estate, specifically in Dubai real estate, right? Now, when you look at the Google meaning of leverage is the use of borrowed capital, which is debt or financial instruments like margins, options, blah, 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 to increase your potential investment returns. Now, let's talk about leverage in Dubai real estate. You usually would get this in two forms, all right? The first form is for secondary property where you can borrow the bank's money, where you can borrow you have your property, you have the bank, and you have you as the investor, right? Now, usually in the regular leverage scenario is where you have to, as an investor, you have to give a certain percentage as a down payment. Now, people who live in the UAE, who are residents here, who have businesses or incomes here, can get a mortgage or leverage from the bank of up to 80%, and you have to give 20%. This breakdown is the best case scenario. Usually, if you have your finger on the market's pulse, you'll understand that the banks usually try to settle near 50% or a little bit over that. So it's around the 60% mark is what the banks try to push to, or most of the investors, most of the financial institutes try to push to, and then they try to make you pay at least 40%. Here, the bank kind of has the leverage along with you having the leverage as well, because you've already paid almost 50% of the property value. The property is going to be rented out. Technically, you will not pay a lot from your pocket. However, you're still paying more over time, because here you're not only paying what you owe, but you're also paying interest. So you will end up paying a little bit more interest, right? Now, this is your regular scenario. Now, what many people tend to overlook, especially the new investors, people who have just started their research because they're hearing so much about these distressed deals and this type of deal and that type of deal in the market. This is mainly for you guys, right? Now, you have the developer, right? And then you have you, which is the investor, right? Now, when it comes to a property with the developer in off-plan, this is off-plan. In off-plan, you have something called a payment plan from the developer. No interest required, no documentation. Okay, basic documentation, of course, to make sure that you're not wanted or illegal. Basic documentation. There's no approvals as such. You know what I mean? Where the bank is checking your record, checking your Etihad Bureau or your credit report and all of that stuff, which is a lengthy process. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's a very good process. It's just lengthy. It just takes too much of time. That's when you go in for mortgage. And then with mortgage also, they will tell you, okay, we'll pay you this much. Now, let's move our attention to the payment plan with the developer, right? With the developer, you have a confirmed option where you don't need to pay everything or mortgage everything out upfront. However, you will not get the property ready as well. It's going to be under construction. So, what are the usual payment plans like? The down payment is usually 20%, right? And then you have DLD, which is 4%. Now, this you will pay with every single property you buy. Every single property. Whether it's off plan, whether it's ready, whether it's a villa, whether it's a studio, whether it's a matchbox or whether it's a mansion, you're still going to pay 4%. So that is something which is going to be included. Now, when you are getting a mortgage, this is not included in your mortgage amount. The mortgage amount is calculated as per the actual property price with the developer or with the seller, right? Now, let's come back. You have 20% down payment. I'm going to remove this from here. 20% down payment. And then you have a payment plan. Now, many developers, you have either 3 months, 4 months or 5 months or even up to 6 months with certain developers where you can get these many months of break or time before your next installment, right? And usually that installment depends between 5% to 10% of the total property value, right? Now, this is the payment plan that I've months, 5% to 10%. Every few months, that's your payment plan. And you'll either reach up to 40%, 30%, 40%, or 50% of the property value. And then you stop paying. And then you pay directly. The balance of it would go on handover. Now, when it comes to handover, that is also when you can leverage the bank. However, my leverage is a little bit different in this context right now. So far we've understood this. Say, for example, you buy a property for 2 million. After 1 year, the property value goes up, say, by 10%, right? And that is 200,000 dirhams. 200,000 dirhams. That's the appreciation value. So far, so good. So say, for example, you pay upfront or with a bank or whatever, 2 million, and then after 1 year, the value of the property goes up to 2.2 million, which is a 10% increase over here. So far, so good. Now, if I'm buying the same property, which is valued at 2 million, but I buy it at the off-plan stage. Now, for off-plan, all I need to do is give them 20% down payment. 20% down payment, which means I've paid approximately 400,000 dirhams. So far, I've paid 400,000 dirhams. And say, for example, my next installment is after like 5 or 6 months after the first installment. So then I'd probably end up paying another, say, another 100,000 over it. So I can add, say I pay another 100,000 over here, and I've paid so far, I've paid 30% of the property value, and that is around 500,000 dirhams. But after 1 year, when the appreciation is approximately 10%, my appreciation here will be 200,000 dirhams still after a year, even though my property is still under construction. I've paid 500,000 dirhams. I've gotten an appreciation of 200,000 dirhams, which means my total ROE, which is my return on equity over here, will be approximately around the 40% mark, plus minus, right? So my ROE here is 40%, whereas my ROI over here, return on investment, which is 2 million, is still 10%. This is where we used to call it, or this is where many developers or many realtors call this flipping. They flip the property while under construction. Now, what many people do not understand is they will promise you these kind of flips and you will be promised a quick exit and all of that, but the exit plan usually isn't clear. Not every single property is flippable during construction. Many a time, especially with apartments, you have to wait for the handover, for the property to be ready, because when someone is buying a ready property or someone's buying secondary, they want to go and see it. So it really depends. Now, this is the leverage option basics explained. Now that we've understood the basics of leverage, be it getting leverage from the bank or leveraging the payment plans of the Dubai real estate market. Now, why is Dubai a perfect environment for this? Because payment plans from the developers is one of those gems that are almost not available anywhere else in the world. UAE is one of those environments where you actually get this specific benefit, where you get a payment plan from the developer without any interest, without any additional charges, etc., etc. Now, I'll give you 3 reasons why Dubai is exceptional for leverage buys. The first reason, rental yields. Dubai apartments are currently generating rental yields between 6 to 8% depending on the type of property, the size, location, etc. You have very popular areas like JVC, Jaddaf, Maidan, JVT, pulling in between the 6 to 7.5% and in certain cases almost up to even 8.5% in rental returns. This is for typical 1-bedroom apartments, 1 to 2-bedroom apartments. However, some of these areas are even giving between 10 to 12% for certain types of studio apartments as well. Now, if you compare Dubai's rental yield over the last few years, and even in the forecast that we look at for the next few years, we are still way higher than the world average. Like, for example, you have Singapore, you have India, you have Hong Kong. Most of these places, you look at the rental returns, it's between 2 to 3, even 3.5%, and that's it. So one of the highest rental returns in the world. That is reason 1. Let's talk about reason 2. Be it mortgage or Islamic finance. Now, some of the most competitive rates in the world are here. In 2025, so the rates were between 3.99 up to 5.25. However, in the latter half of 2025, the rates were reworked on and they were announced approximately around the 3.65%, which again brings up your leverage, brings up the opportunity for you to, earn more. And obviously, that actually drove more people to buy more properties, especially people who were living in the UAE, around the UAE as well. So that's number 2. And then number 3. You have 0 taxes. Now, when I say 0 taxes, I'm talking about income tax, personal income tax. I'm talking about property tax. I'm talking about capital appreciation tax. These taxes that I just listed are actually implemented in many, many, many countries. However, Dubai, there is no taxes, be it on the properties you buy, be it on the rent you earn from them, be it on the capital appreciation that you get when you resell the apartment for a profit or any property for a profit. And when it comes to just even having your property, you don't pay any taxes on it in the UAE. Like, for example, let's talk about India, where I have a property in India and no one lives there. We visit the place probably once a year and we just have the cleaner going in and out, and we still pay a property tax twice a year, every 6 months in India for just having the property there. Now, if I end up selling that property, whenever I do, I will have to pay a capital appreciation tax on the appraised value from the time I bought it till the time I sell it, and which will be approximately 30% of how much I have earned. None of that is in the UAE. Now, this is as simple as I could make it in terms of layman terms for leverage buys, bank mortgages, and different reasons that you need to look at while investing in Dubai. So this video is The most simplest way I could explain it for the new investors or potentially interested investors in the real estate market for leverage buys. If you want to have an in-depth conversation about what suits you and your needs and look at the different opportunities that are actually available to you in the market, and if you don't want to be pushed just to buy another property for the sake of it, and you want to make an intelligent and well-informed decision, all you need to do is subscribe and book your one-on-one consultation on the Calendly link below.